whole group of like-minded people who would, you know, try to make a living at festivals by making stuff and selling things.
I remember walking into one, and within 25 minutes I was in charge of an organic stall, and the guy didn't come back for 2 hours. So, I mean, you know, it was like that. You just didn't have like, I'm playing music. It was, you were part of all of it.
As the free festival movement gathered momentum in the early 70s, this new alternative culture began looking for a spiritual home and converged for a series of festivals in the somewhat provocative surroundings of Windsor Great Park.
The spirit there was quite incredible. It really was. It was just amazing. The whole feeling, you know, people were there and could hardly believe that this was happening in England, and what's more, on the Queen's back doorstep.
I went down there with a couple of mates. We hitched down there with a little old army tent. Eventually got to Windsor railway station, and as we left the railway station, there was just a line of hippies all the way down through the town off to the Great Park. And there were joints going backwards and forwards. You know, you take the puff and pass it on. And as we arrived on the Great Park, there were Hawkwind playing on the grass, you know, and it was like going home.
At Windsor, we had a chap who turned up with a briefcase, came up to me and said, "You stage manager?" I said, "No, I'm just doing the lights. I don't know where the stage manager is, actually." And he said, "Well, I've got this." I said, "I want to give out." And I was going, "Oh, right." And it was as if you could see out across this great swathe of the audience at Windsor. And I was thinking, So I made it, and I said, between numbers, I said, "There's a chap here, it's got some, anybody would like something to get high on, just come to the front of the stage." And there was a huge sort of like, people would start getting up one by one, and then it just got mad, and we had to sort of withdraw, you know.
The singer pointed out to the crowd, there was a drug squad officer walking through the crowd. Again, we weren't prepared for the level of response. You know, about 500 people just started moving towards this guy, who promptly legged it, pulled out his radio. What a giveaway. Black Mariah pulled up on the road 200 yards away, and I've never seen anybody cross 200 yards faster in all my life, with sort of 400 irate hippies chasing him.
I think Windsor set out to be a carnival festival, but also a political statement. If you want to really get up in the nose of the authorities, well, have a carnival in the Queen's back garden. It was very funny, very amusing, but as usual, you know, the pawns got hurt.
What had started out as a bit of fun quickly turned sour when in 1974 a bemused government decided they could no longer ignore this growing movement.
Obviously somebody had decided that they needed to show the hippies a lesson or two.
The police were among the fans before most of them knew it. When the young people wakened up to what was happening to them, most accepted the inevitable and left then. But a large minority resisted, first by forming percussion groups in front of unappreciative lines of policemen.
There have been 1,002 other convictions. As a result, both the Berkshire County Council and the Maidenhead and Windsor Borough Council took the view that they had a duty to take all possible steps to prevent a recurrence of such a deplorable event.
They moved in at dawn, and they were just waking people up, smashing down tents. They were pretty angry, I would say. They wanted to re-establish their authority. Or perhaps the Queen had said, "Get those squatters out of my garden."
So what happened after Windsor was there was a kind of a negotiated deal, because it was obviously realised that they'd gone too far, and they gave us this huge RAF base called Watchfield in 1975.